Sorry about that, y'all. I should be back now. Make sure everything's good. Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right. Well, so what's good? I am back. All right, cool. What's going on, Adam? Sorry about that. Excuse me, that little hiccup in the road. Like I told you, you know how electronics are. But get up in the building. Big Game James, I'm here, man. What's going on? I'm going to give y'all some time to get up in the building. Aaron Lewis, I see my guy over there at YouTube. One of our members, shout out to you. James Roche, shout out to you. Get everybody to jump on in here right quick. Just my afterthoughts of this Cleveland colossal, whatever we want to call that. That's some craziness, right? Whatever we want to call that. Crazy game, y'all. I'm still thinking about it. I'd love to put up some interviews, some things that we could talk about the defense, all kind of craziness going on with Mike Nolan. Mike McCarthy said they're staying the course. Mike Nolan said, hey, he feels good about this defense. Jerry Jones had an interview saying, he feels still okay. What's good, Slim Cuddy? But, let's look at some things right quick. One of the things that I want to talk about right quick, besides the debacle that's been going on right here, is this draft history. If it can pull up. Because I was just looking at this draft history. It hasn't been good, especially when we're talking about the defensive side. I want to see if it pulls up. There it goes. Why everybody's still getting up in the building. Just some things, man. Just in my head. Let's look at this draft history right quick, though. When the Cowboys really were trying to build on this draft. I say about 2014 because they went, we saw like 2011 to me is when they really started going after the offensive line. That's when they started with Tyrone Smith, right? Bruce Carter didn't work out. Tyrone Crawford, we'll talk about him in a minute. He came in the 2012 draft. But you saw they was really Travis Frederick, Zach Martin. But 2014 to me was when they were really trying to mess with this defense to really solidify because that offensive line was coming together. You were seeing it come together from Tyron Smith to Travis Frederick to Zach Martin. Then you had Doug Free, that was a little stay. Ron Leary, who was an undrafted free agent who played very well in his time with Dallas. Also, they just got Leo Collins, who had a very good year last year. But that offensive line was built up. You see Terrence Mitchell down there. In 2014, we drafted him. He's with the Browns. He was the starting corner. But right here, 2014 is when they really started to me, and it started with Demarcus Lawrence. They got Anthony Hitchens. Will Smith. We knew that wasn't happening. Ben Gardner, that didn't happen. We knew Terrence Mitchell, 7th-round draft pick, still in the league. He's done some things. But we can only say really Demarcus Lawrence. Anthony Hitchens was a good linebacker with us, but they didn't want to pay him that money. He goes on to Kansas City and gets a Super Bowl. Just saying. Demarcus Lawrence, let's see. Demarcus Lawrence, for his stats, I think he has 39.5 sacks. Most of his career, you've seen his games. Most of his career compared to Zach Martin. Zach Martin's been an Iron Man, 98 games. Demarcus Lawrence is 84, so you see he's missed quite a few games. He's been an injury-prone player. You've seen Demarcus Lawrence go off on social media saying F y'all to everybody, which I get. I understand it, but see, he can't really say F you to me because I didn't go on his page, because he said everybody that was on his page, they can kiss his ass and F you because, he's playing through injuries. He goes hard every time. And I ain't never questioned Demarcus Lawrence's go hardness. I ain't never questioned that from him. You know what I'm saying? I have never once questioned that about him. Even when he's been injured, he has still tried to go hard. But at the end of the day, it's still got to be about production, and you're not getting paid that kind of money to be the greatest run defender in the NFL. You're getting paid that money to be a great run defender, a sack artist, a difference maker, and injuries happen. I get it. I ain't bashing no player because injuries happen, and that's great. You playing through them. That's good. But if I was playing in the NFL, I'd be the same way. But if you ain't good, you just had a knee injury, and I see you still fighting through it. But at the end of the day, still got to be sacks. 39 sacks in his career since 2014, and that's really been 2 productive seasons. And that's when the contract year was up, and then the extension of the contract. And even then, and I'm not busting on Demarcus Lawrence, I'm just talking my side of it in Demarcus's contract year, because as I said before, in 2017 when we first started Silver and Blue Nation, let me go from there right quick. When we first started Silver and Blue Nation, I was on DL Demarcus Lawrence hard. Not that I'm anybody to be on him like that, but I was just like, he's one of the bang guys that they drafted in 2014 to be the guy. And he needs to step up and be that guy because the Cowboys are dependent on him. And at that point in time, when we had started Silver and Blue Nation, I believe it was the 2017 season. At that point in time, he had 9 sacks in 3 seasons. But all 3 of those seasons were injury plagued. He had the foot issue, he had the back injury, shoulders, everything. But he has been a fighter, you know what I'm saying? But then, like I said, he came out and said he was a 10-sack guy. So from that point, I said, well, he said that, let's go. And then, players play good in their contract years. That's just what it is. That's across the board. You know what I mean? You play good in them contract years because you're trying to get that second or third possibly contract. So you're going to try to ball out. You're going to play through injuries. You're going to fight through that stuff because if you don't, you're not getting that contract and you're not getting paid. But even when he came back and got that 14.5 sacks and was a monster across the board, even the Cowboys said, you know what? We only seen that 1 year. You had an 8-sack season, but that was at the end of the season. We need to see that again because we don't know. So he played on the franchise tag, got 10.5 sacks. You get what I'm saying? And even then, there was the fight back and forth of, is he that guy that is what they were saying, the Von Millers, the Khalil Macks, the Aaron Donalds, the difference makers that you pay these guys because they're going to be the difference maker on your defense, much like you have difference makers on offense. You pay Ezekiel Elliott, you pay Amari Cooper, you pay these top guys. Why? Because they are difference makers, and you expect them to make the difference in games you need. So that's why they pay you that money. So if you holding out saying you that guy, it's going to be held to you. And then if you talking, it's really going to be held to you. So to me, I can get it that a player is frustrated and saying you can kiss my ass, but at the end of the day, when you jump out there and throw it out there yourself, you holding your own self to a higher standard, so you're going to expect the kickback and the backlash of it. It's just going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And, I don't hate on D-Law, but I just feel like you for what they're paying you and what he held out for, you only had the 2 productive seasons, and that's when it was in contract years, and the proof is in the pudding. And 5.5 sacks this year, no sacks so far, injured already. If you get to another, I said he was going to have a bounce back season. I said he was going to have 11 sack season, so I can't be hating on him. I can't be hating on him all saying he was weak and not good. You know what I'm saying? That can't be me. Because I wasn't saying that, because I was saying I did say he needed to have a bounce back year, but I also said that, guess what? I believed in him, and I said 11 sack season for D-Law. But now, I'm not even saying but now, but at the end of the day, what up, Joe Chantrino? At the end of the day, you got to produce, and the team is relying on you, and it's not happening. So that ain't nobody else's fault right now. You get what I'm saying? Like, that ain't nobody else's fault. So people can say things, and you can get frustrated all you want to, but the reality is that the stats aren't backing up what the pay is, and it's got to happen. So, and as I said before, just going into that draft, wasn't trying to get sidetracked, but I'm just talking about the player, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't hate on D-Law, but they got to expect more from him, and that's just what it is. And if you're the leader, it's going to fall on you, just like it falls on Dak. When everybody blames Dak when the team loses, first people they're going to point the finger out is Dak. Well, if you're the leader on defense and you're the highest paid and you're the leader on defense that you say you are and you the guy, expect the backlash, expect the kickback, expect anybody saying anything about you because you are the guy. You said you was the guy. You wanted to be the guy, so expect everything that comes with being a guy. And this what comes with being a guy. Everybody going hard on you. If things go wrong, they're blaming you because you the highest paid on a defensive line and you're supposed to be the main difference maker. And if the scheme ain't working with Mike Nolan, my thing is you had Ron Marinelli last year. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like he featured you that year so he could get those sacks because I believe Ron Marinelli really liked D-Law. So I think he really featured him so he could get that money, can get them sacks. But at the end of the day, you still in Ron Marinelli's system and still only got 5.5 sacks, whether double teams or not. If you're getting paid that money, you still got to produce off of that. You know what I'm saying? Not every time, and I get the double teams. You made other players better, Robert Quinn. Other people ate off and fed off you, but at the end of the day, still got to be that guy, and you got to show it. And, just going back down right quick to Tyrone Crawford in 2012, this frustrating to me as we go up to 2015. I'm going to move that up. That's frustrating to me, number one, is Tyrone Crawford. We had all talked about him, and my thing is, I'm like, okay, Tyrone Crawford would be a better player because he's got an Everson Griffin or a Dontari Poe. He's got a big man that can help him on the inside. But here's the thing. When we're frustrated with the roster, we got to see what the roster is. When we got to see, and my thing is, I'll fail for it. And I'm not saying I fell for it and just like I'm giving it up. But the things is Tyrone Crawford, I kept on saying we don't need Tyrone Crawford. I kept on saying that last year. You know what I'm saying? But I want to be the positive guy and say, you know what? We can use a Tyrone Crawford because you got an Everson Griffin now. You know what I'm saying? You have a Randy Gregory that's coming back. You have a D-Law. You have a Dontari Poe. You have other guys in the fold. So, yes, Tyrone Crawford should be able to be better in the system because you got better players around him. But those guys aren't playing good. But, Tyrone Crawford looks like a straight shell of himself, and he's getting $9 million. That's where a fundamental part is. But they say you don't want to pay these other players. You got rid of a Byron Jones, and I'm not harping on no Byron Jones thing because when I saw the pay, I didn't think they were going to pay that. You get what I'm saying? I didn't think the Cowboys were going to pay it, so there wasn't no point in talking about Byron Jones because they weren't going to pay that $16 million a year. But you paying Tyrone Crawford $8 to $9 million a year for what? You kept him on the roster for what? He was hurt all year, and that's where I say, and I'm gonna talk that to this in concluding, but when I see Tyrone Crawford, who is a carryover from the old regime and what the top likes, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, he basically had the spot. You know what I'm saying? You had come back from hip surgeries. You basically had a spot. You basically almost didn't have to really work to keep your roster spot because it was already there. So who really had the power? I mean, that's another player that was held over from the old regime who Jerry Jones and them like. He didn't go through a training camp for real. I mean, he did. But the hip surgery, you had 2 bad hips, you're making $9 million a year. And people were saying, You're not that guy. You're a shell of yourself. You're not $9 million worthy if you're looking across the board at the other defensive tackles. What are you really doing now? I mean, that's a front office thing. And you let other people who were productive, who you probably could have used, even though Byron Jones was hurt, probably could have used him over Tyrone Crawford. You know what I'm saying? You're keeping him for $9 million, and he's really not doing anything for the team. And you're probably gonna cut him because there's no reason why you would even keep this man after this season, and he's this last year of his deal or whatever. Why you paying him $9 million for that? I'm not getting it. So we look on here, 2015, right? Byron Jones, who is gone. We know he didn't have all the sacks in the world, but we saw he did become a productive player in Dallas. If they probably would have kept him at corner, who knows what could have happened. I still don't think he would have been a high INT guy, but he would definitely been a damn good corner. But Cowboys botched that up and kept him at safety because they needed a safety so bad because everybody's been saying Dallas Cowboys need a safety because there hasn't been a safety. If you look up and down, there hasn't been a safety in here. So they reached and went up to Byron Jones, who was really a corner, and they tried to convert him to safety because he played little because it was saying need a safety. But right here, Damian Wilson with the Chiefs got an A Super Bowl. Ryan Russell, no. Mark Najoska, whatever his name is, no. Chaz Green, Randy Gregory. I mean, he hasn't done a lot. We understand what he's going through, so I'm not hating on Randy. The time he's been in Dallas and played 2018 was productive, but other than that, he hasn't been really productive. So that's when they were concentrating on the draft and the defense. Who do you really have from that point? Anthony Hitchens was gone. Damian Wilson was gone. Both those guys went to the Chiefs, got Super Bowls. D-Law's here, but his career has been, we can't say from this point, from he's been drafted, you're going to say it's been a success? I don't know about that. Byron Jones is gone. Randy Gregory, can't say his career has been a success so far in Dallas. The 2016 is the best draft that they had, but you look at it was more on the offensive side. Zeke, Dak. But other than that, Jalen Smith, we see what he's doing, and it's been great that he's came back from that injury. He's another player. It's been awesome that he's came from that injury and has fought and played through the game and played through. That's you can't hate on that. Nobody, in my opinion, I'm not hating on that at all because he's a fighter. But just because that happens doesn't make you still a good player at this time or what is really going on. He's struggling. He's still going through. You can have hella tackles, but that doesn't mean you're still playing at elite level. And the tape has been showing all along. But to me, I still feel like that leg is bothering. I feel like he still doesn't want to put certain pressure on that leg, and it's more robotic to me, and it's always going to be robotic. It's not natural like other players you see that can transition because that leg, you just can't. He can't do what other people can do, but it's great that he came back, but he just can't do what they do, and you can see it, and teams exploit it. And if you're a smart football team and you see him out there, I'm trying to exploit him every time in coverage, misdirection plays, anything, because he's only really good going straight forward, back and forward, and coming down the hill straight and back. Because if you make a quick cut on Jalen and he's coming downhill on you, he's not going to be able to stop and turn and open his hips and make that tackle more than not because he can't stop on that left leg for real. And it's just the truth. And it's not hating on him. It's just the truth. And it's hindering the team because he can't do certain things. And we're all acting like he can, and they're acting like they can, but I don't know. But they're acting like he can, and he can't, and it's hurting the team because they're putting him in positions that he really can't succeed in that. But I don't know if I don't know. And then you got Malik Collins, gone. Charles Tapper, bust. I said he would never play in the NFL for anybody else if he got cut from Dallas because I don't really even think he liked football. Anthony Brown, shoot, you need Anthony Brown right now, it feels like. Kayvon Frazier, gone, but they never really gave him a chance. Darius Jackson, he was never going to get a chance. And Rico Gathers, that experiment just came and failed. But we're looking on the defensive side. None of those defensive guys are held besides Anthony Brown. You go to the 2017 draft. Taco Charlton did his thing last night, and I'm not saying every player leaves Dallas and is successful. It does seem like a lot of players leave Dallas and go to different systems and are, especially defensive systems, and are successful. And the things that they can't do in Dallas or not doing in Dallas, they seem to go somewhere else and do them. That's frustrating to me. And that's where, to me, comes into my guy Law saying, is Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones really football guys? What really makes Stephen Jones a football guy? You know what I'm saying? What gives him the know-how, I'm a football guy? You know what I'm saying? What and Jerry Jones is living off of, because I played at University of Arkansas, and then, what really makes them football guys? Because to me, Jimmy Johnson was that football mind. You just had that bread. Bill Parcells was a good football mind. You know what I mean? Those are guys that really controlled the team because they weren't backing down to you. And I'm not saying Mike McCarthy's a yes man, but does he really have the power like them two? Does he come at Jerry like, Jerry says, we don't want Earl Thomas, and maybe what Mike McCarthy really does, but is he really going to go against Jerry and say, I want Earl Thomas? Is he really going to go against Jerry right now and say that? I don't believe it. I ain't saying yes, man, but I'm just saying. But anyway, look at that 2017 draft. Taco Charlton is not succeeding with us. He didn't do it with Miami, but I talked to B. Tuck, who trained him, and said it was more of a money thing. He's with Kansas City now. That's another player. They got like 5 players from Dallas that are over there at Kansas City now, and he's over there, got a sack. And if he comes over there and has a rebirth in his career, that's got to say a signal to our front office and to the top. It doesn't matter about the players that we're talking about. That's got to signal something from the top, and I've been saying that. I said we'd never win another Super Bowl under Jerry Jones. I try to go back and forth with it because we get a Mike McCarthy, makes me feel better about myself. But then I just see the same fundamental things that's still happening, that hopefully it can be corrected. But anyway, I'm just rambling. Sorry. Chidobe Awuzie, he's a good corner. He's not bad, but, I mean, is he really going to get top dollar anywhere? He might get it based on some potential if you look at him. Jordan Lewis, he's been so back and forth with the team, and I don't know. Does Jordan Lewis look like he would get a contract? I didn't think Anthony Brown was, but you can't say when you look at this defense of Xavier Woods, all these guys that they drafted in 2017, they drafted these guys to be stalwarts on the team. Taco, Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods. This was supposed to be the next wave of defenders that the Cowboys were supposed to have to help build this defense while they try to start up front, and it just hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. And we can say that the drafts have not been good since 2016, and that was really just Zeke, Dak, and Jalen, because he's playing and he's productive coming back from that injury. But the drafts have not been good. Then we go to 2018. Van Der Esch had an awesome rookie year. He only got 5. Don't even have a sack in his whole career. I like Vandy. But he's injury prone. And we knew that when he was coming out. You know what I'm saying? We knew that when he was coming out. He was an injury prone guy. Look at the games. 26. He's already been hurt. Waiting for him to come off injury reserve. So the jury is still out on him. He was your number 1 draft pick. Connor Williams. I told you, he's just a guy. He's a second-round draft pick in 2018. He's a guy. That's it. You could say he's a bust. He's not playing like a second-rounder, so that's Michael Gallup, yes. Michael Gallup is really the only him. And we can say Cedric Wilson, but he's just now coming on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not hating on Ced, but he's a 6th-round draft pick, and he's just now showing it from not being injured. But Michael Gallup is the truth, so you could be happy about Gallup. Van Der Esch, the jury's still out on him because he's injury prone, okay, and he had 1 good year. So you can't really go hard on that. Dorrance Armstrong Jr., he don't look like 4th-round draft pick. He's not doing anything right now. He has 2.5 sacks in, 3 years? He's getting in the second. Dalton Schultz, he's just a guy. Covington was trash, in my opinion. Bo Scarborough gone. Mike White gone. Cedric Wilson showing. So we'll say Michael Gallup and Cedric Wilson, in my opinion, because Van Der Esch is the question mark. Where's the defense, though? Where's the defense in that draft? 2019. This is pretty much a whole bust draft. You look at the 2019 draft. Tristan Hill is just now playing better, but the jury's still out on him. As much as I like what he's doing, his attitude, but he's still learning. He's still not. He's not great. He's still learning on the fly, and this is just his first year because Connor McGovern, we haven't seen him at all. 3 games. Hasn't sniffed the field. We don't know what's going on with that. Tony Pollard is struggling. We don't know if his confidence is totally gone, but we don't know if he's going to even be with the team any much longer. Michael Jackson, cornerback, gone. Joe Jackson with the Cleveland Browns, gone. Donovan Wilson just now seeing time on the field. And the jury's out with him because he's a huge question mark, but I like what I saw in a little bit of time. I think with more reps, he can get better because I think he's a guy that studies. I think he's a guy that takes it personal. I think he has a passion. So I think he takes that personal. It's going to mean something to him. So I like where he can trend. Basically, he's got to get better. Mike Weber gone. Jalen Jelks on the Cleveland Browns. I think he's on the practice squad. And then right now, this is just the 2020 draft. Like to see Bradley and I get some more snaps. Reggie Robinson hasn't sniffed the field. Tyler Biadasz. This is offense though. Trevin Diggs. I love Diggs, but he's been getting cooked up. But that's what happens when you're for a second-round draft pick. I said that's one of the hardest plays, one of the hardest positions to transition into the NFL is the cornerback position. It's not easy, and when really veteran type quarterbacks, offensive gurus, they see that, they will attack you all day. You know what I mean? So when I just really look at the team, how it's built right now as far as the draft picks, it ain't that good. And then hey ho, Justin D with the $10 holla. What's good with you? Make sure y'all hit that right button. Yes, sir. Let me give a shout out to Joshua Parker. Ready Red, what's good up with you, dog? Cowboys fan only. What up, family? Rue Glock. Let me get to y'all's question. Mr. Wright Antoine Myers, what's up with you? Mr. Drez, Justin D, appreciate the donation. And I appreciate everybody on Facebook too. I got everybody up there. But yeah, man, I'm trying to figure that out too. I can just I look at it like when I had one of my guys, Jamie O'Day, he got in my inbox. He was frustrated, like why is not Mike Nolan saying good things about Jalen Smith, or why are they saying this and that? You got to understand this is a whole new regime. They're not going to sit there and just throw guys under the bus. It's a brand new regime, 4 games in. How are you going to look 4 games in just trashing your players? You're a whole new regime, just came in. You're going to trash the players? You can't do that. So they're not going to throw players under the bus. They're not going to do that. I mean, and I respect them for that. I respect them for not bashing their players. You know what I'm saying? I respect that. But, they got to get better. Coaching got to get better. Players got to get better. And that's just what it is. I mean, and guys got to have some passion. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Spears, I had a video with it that I had talking about, guys got bullied up front. I mean, and there ain't nothing else to it. It ain't just the scheme. People always want to just jump and say, oh, let's fire Mike Nolan. But Ron Marinelli was here, and the defense was not great with Ron Marinelli. I mean, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a great defense with Ron Marinelli. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Mike Nolan. I mean, when Mike Nolan came over, I wasn't doing cartwheels for Mike Nolan, but I was like, okay, let's see what he can do. They say he's more aggressive. He's aggressive with his defense. He attacks you more. But only 16% of the time you're blitzing. He said he's a guy that likes to blitz, likes to bring pressure. We're only bringing 16% of pressure on blitzes right now. So, like I said, the jury is really out on a lot of things. But they're not going to throw guys under the bus. They're not going to panic right now. We shouldn't panic as an organization. I'm frustrated because of the play on the field. I don't like the record of 1-3. But I'm just frustrated with the play and how it's looking on the field. Like 49 from Cleveland, 38 from Seattle, 38-39 with Atlanta, and who knows how much the Rams could have scored, if they missed on a few opportunities. But I think that's the most alarming thing with me is this, defensive rankings are low, giving up a lot of points, but I just feel like it's more than scheme. It's just guys, are they really just going hard? I'm not trying to question the effort, but it just seems like I said, when I made the show and I said the Browns wasn't coming in like, ooh, we're scared of the Cowboys. Nobody comes into Dallas saying we're scared of the Cowboys. Everybody comes into Dallas saying we can beat y'all. We just stay true to what we're doing. We stay disciplined what we're doing, and we can beat them. And that's what a lot of teams just feel about us. And that's where it's fundamentally broken to me, and that's where it starts at the top. And I don't know if that fundamental thing is ever going to change from the top. And honestly, it feels like no matter how much talent Dallas Cowboys get on the team, it just is not good enough. And I was screaming for Everson Griffin to come in here, make a difference. I mean, what he's been, and right now what he's been is very average. He hasn't been good. I mean, we just kick it over here. He just hasn't been good. And it's just like I said, I'm just not going to jump out here and blame scheme for all this. I just feel like it's the players, it's the scheme, and I ain't crying for no Jason Garrett back or nothing like that. But it just seems like it's not just we always want to jump and say scheme is bad and they need to do this. Players aren't making the plays, and maybe our players just aren't good. Maybe we just overhyped them. I just showed the draft of the players that we had since 2014, and they were trying to build defense from that point, and they just haven't been that good. Let's just keep it real. A lot of the guys are not on the team right now, and the guys that are there that were supposed to be difference makers to be building for the future are not those guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm showing you some Everson Griffin stats. They're just not those guys, and when you're bringing those guys in, when you look at the front line that they have right now, who you have? Crawford. He's not the guy right now. D-Law, he's hurt. Who else we talking about that's on that D-line? Original draft, Brandy Gregory, he's just now coming back from suspension. Tristan Hill, jury's still out. Gallimore, he's not playing. I told you, Malik Collins, Joe Jackson, those guys are gone. Linebackers, Hitchens, Damian Wilson, gone. You still just have LVE, Sean Lee. Why is he still on the roster? Why was he a carryover? He didn't even have training camp. You get what I'm saying? This guy didn't even have no training camp, and he's still on the team, coming back from in. We're excited about getting Sean Lee back, who's coming back from injury, as always. Didn't even play in camp. You know what I mean? Jalen Smith, he's not playing like a $13 million linebacker, $12 million linebacker. LVE is hurt. So where is that talent? On the back end, Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods, Anthony Brown, Chidobe, they're average. So when we've been hyping this defense, and I've been guilty of it, I'll be first to say I've been guilty of it. It's just a very average defense, and it's not that great. And then we talking about being Dontari Poe. When you look at the stats from last year, and it's been talked about, and I hate to say it, I mean, you just want to ignore it, but him and Gerald McCoy were not good at Carolina. They were very average. That run defense was not good with them at Carolina. Now, the numbers show it. They were bottom of the league in run defense. So now you bring them over here, and we go by the name, and the name is exciting of a Dontari Poe, the size, we've seen what he's done. But the stats show he hasn't been great. So he's coming over to a average defense. He's not coming over to a spectacular defense. Nobody on our defense is spectacular. We have nobody on the back end that's spectacular. Our secondary is very average, and our front line linebackers are average. And we all hype it. I'm like I said, I'll point the finger at me. Been hyping it like it's been better than it is. And it's just not. It's just average. And it's getting exposed because they're playing against more talent. And when that talent, they play against some really good talent, some good coaching. Even if we're coaching good, it's overriding our talent. And that was shown right here in this Cleveland game, to me, in my opinion. Appreciate the donation, Mr. Person. Now, if you'd like to donate, go ahead and drop the holler, or you can cash at me right quick because I'm about to get out of here and head to work. But just that's just my thoughts about it. I'm gonna go with Law when he said he doesn't know if Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are really football guys, and maybe they're really not. And I don't know what puts out there as Stephen Jones to be a football guy. I don't know what makes him a football guy. What says he's a football guy? He just was around football with Jerry and them. But there's nothing. He's more of a money guy. He's a business guy. He's a money guy. And then you got Jerry Jones, who's talking about, he's encouraged by Jalen Smith and he fights with courage. But you know what? Maybe you shouldn't have drafted him. And even if it was a great story and how he fought back, he's not that guy that he was when you drafted him out of Notre Dame before the prior injury. You get what I'm saying? And maybe you shouldn't have did that. And as much as I love Randy Gregory's talent, you knew the red flags. You knew what was going on. Maybe you shouldn't have did that. And like I said, when we look at the draft from 2014 on, when they really concentrated on putting it on defense, it has failed. The drafts from 2014 on to now have not been productive on the defensive side of the ball, period. And that's why Dallas is suffering, because they have average talent on defense, and it's getting exposed by better talent. And when we get frustrated, because maybe a lot of us think we have better talent than we do, and we don't. And that's why we're getting exposed. And so it has to be a collective effort of guys do have to understand their assignments, play sound football. Guys have to band together and play together as a team, because they aren't as talented as a defense as a lot of people have hyped up, mainly me. I have done it, and it's not there. So they need to play a smarter type football, or it's only going to get worse. That's just the way it is, and that's kind of just my opinion on it. But let's just make sure, and we ain't never getting a real GM, so I ain't even talking about that. Like, it's never going to change. Jerry ain't never relinquished it. He's had the team over 20-some years, and he's not going to relinquish that. If they ain't did it before, these guys think they know what they're doing, and as long as they feel like they know what they're doing, they're not changing. Stephen Jones says we're not making any changes. That's the way it is. I mean, that's what we have to live with as Cowboys fans. This is what we have to live with. I mean, we get hyped up every year, and this is what we have to live with. And I'm not saying the season's over, giving up by any means. I'm not doing that at all. But just these same fundamental things that keep happening start from the top. And then, like I said, we just overhype the team. And I definitely feel like we have an explosive offense, one of the best offenses in the league talent-wise, and it's showing as well. But we got to have more balance. You got to play smarter football. If you know you got an undrafted rookie free agent right tackle, and you know going into the game you're smarter than that. You're an offensive line coach for 20 years. You're smarter than that, Philbin. You think a rookie offensive line coach would do that, or a hard-headed coach like Garrett when them did? That just remind me of the Garrett regime, where it was like, okay, we all know this is a bad matchup. Maybe still can be better down the line. I said he has the prototypal build and everything. He looks like he has talent, but he's not ready yet. So why subject him and the team to that? Because you think what are you trying to prove? And you know Brandon Knight, we know he's not the most athletic guy, but he fights and he scratches and he brawls, and I love that. And he's a guy that you can flip. And I said he should have been the swing tackle from last year. And I'm going to just pump my chest again because people scoff like, what? I said he should have been it because he's a fighter. And you can see he switched to left tackle, play good. He switched to right tackle, play good. Does he give up some pressures? Yeah, he has given up a sack. He's not perfect by any damn means, but I would like to feel better with him playing in cohesion with Zach Martin, Tyler Biadasz. Hell, I would love to get Ron Larry, but I'm saying Ron Larry was done, but I'm just tired of seeing Connor Williams getting pushed over. And even though his stats aren't showing he's getting demolished, it's parts of the game where it's critical and he's getting handled. and then Tyron Smith, who's a beast, but he's downtrending. So, they just certain things that I see by the staff that got to change, but the players got to do it too. So it's got to go hand in hand because if they don't work together hand in hand, season's going to unravel. And these are winnable games that are coming up, and really should have beat the Browns. It really is not an excuse for that play that was seen out there. But I'm going to tell you right now, these are games you should win against the Giants, the Redskins. The Cardinals are going to be a problem, and Philadelphia. But at the end of the day, we're not playing good enough to actually think that we can walk in and beat any of these teams. So they got to go in the mindset that we are playing the worst football in the whole world, and we got to scratch and claw and fight, and we got to play desperate. I hope we don't come in here playing with a chip on our shoulder. This is Jason Garrett or anything like that. They need to come in here like they're a desperate team. We need to play like a desperate team because, to me, they're not playing desperate right now. They don't look like they're playing desperate, and that's what I need to see, some desperation. Not saying that it's desperate measures, the world is falling, the sky is falling, but you need to play desperate like there ain't no tomorrow, and this could be our last hoorah, and you need to play like that. And that's the main thing that you need to do as a team, as an organization, and it's not wrong for the fans or anybody in the media to feel that way because you hyped this team as much as we did, and you got good product, so show it. But I'm going to head out here. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all tune in to the stream tonight, Late Night Hype. Make sure all my members, all my peoples are in here. Your gifts have been sent out. Denise, I just sent your shirt out. DHC, Matty Ice, yours is being sent out tomorrow. Jim Laws as well this week. Also, you guys are getting decals sent to you as well. Zeke, Dak, and Zeke decals sent out to you. So make sure you let me know when you get all that stuff. Shout out to everybody that was in the feed, Facebook and YouTube. Jeff Kavanaugh from 105 The Fan. He's one of my guys, one of my favorites. I've had him on a couple of my shows personally on the solo tip. Skywalker had him on his show. It was a great show. We've had him on the Hype before it was really the Hype. Me and Law did, him and Bobby Bell. So he's been pretty much like a mainstay with us. He like a bro. So he's going to come on tonight, and he's going to have a lot to say. A lot of good tidbits, a lot of good knowledge of, just a lot of good thoughts and opinions and a lot of good stuff on, the Cowboys football and the structure of the Cowboys football and maybe the thoughts going ahead and going forward. Also got my guy Patrick Kahn that's going to be wrecking the shop with me Wednesday. He's from Longhorn Network, Texas bred, but he does Cowboys football, CBS Sports. He's got an eye. He does a lot of draft work. Really good man, great knowledge. He's going to be on with me Wednesday. Thursday is going to be Burgers and Blitzes with my dog Mike White, not to be trite. That's going to be explosive. Mike always brings it, and I love what he always got to talk about. He's a funny guy. Friday, I'm going with my Cowboys family only, Jay Tuck. I'm going to be on his channel, and, we're going to talk some more deeper things about the Cowboys and the state of the Cowboys and what we're to look for ahead. Saturday is me and my dog Boss Cowboys for our weekly podcast. Final Thoughts, which, like I said, my guy Burgers and Blitzes, that's a weekly podcast now. Every Thursday, every Saturday, my dog, me and Boss Cowboys, our Final Thoughts. That's our podcast that we got banging. And then Sunday is game time against these Giants. And we'll talk all about that during the week and tonight. So make sure y'all deep up in the Silver and Blue Nation feed on my YouTube. It probably won't be on the Facebook, but it will be on YouTube. So all my people get deep, get thick. It's going to be a great time. A lot of great knowledge is going to be shot out, and we're going to have a good time. So make sure you be in there. Let's have a good time once again, and let's talk some Cowboys football, and hopefully these guys can get it rectified and get this season back together because there's still plenty of time. It's only 4 games into the season. Lot of football left. This is the quarter part of it. A lot of football left. So let's not just say season's over. Let's fire this person, fire that person. Because when you're firing people mid-season, that tells me the season is over. Real talk. So hopefully let's just stay the course, stay focused, stay in one mind. But they got to play together as a whole from the organization, from the top, from the bottom. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Talk to you tonight. Late Night Hype with Jeff Kavanaugh. Peace.